Well, hello there, it's Jennifer. Today is all about really the process of embodiment. It's how to make permanent life changes, permanent cellular shifts, rather than riding the roller coaster. I highly recommend, if you did not watch my little bonus class yesterday, that you watch Class 1B, all about the difference between surviving and how you know you haven't embodied the operating system yet for thriving, because that's what this work is all about. All right, let us begin. So guys, what I'm going to do, first of all, class number 1 was all about embodying versus learning. So class number 2, this class is all about the process of embodiment, how to make permanent life changes rather than ride the roller coaster. This is information we actually have never shared before, that the actual step of embodiment. What does it actually look like biologically, emotionally, spiritually, so that you can understand it, and it opens the availability to that. I also want to say that I want to make sure that that you go back, if you didn't listen to class number 1 about embodying versus learning, understanding the difference between the two. I did a little bonus class again called Survival versus Thriving. Watch the bonus class. It's short, it's sweet, but it gives you a very clear idea of whether you've upgraded your operating system or not, because that's what all this work is all about. It's about upgrading your operating system. And if there's someone that you know should really, not should, but it would benefit them greatly and assist them to flourish in their life, please pass our videos along, whether you pass them along and you watch them together, or whether you pass them along afterwards. We recommend that you watch all these videos twice, once where you're really being present to the information, because there are codes, there are widgets, there are little metaphysical, beautiful messages in here that are received by your full presence. And then there's stuff that you want to take notes on, right? So as most of you know, my name is Jennifer Hough, and I don't know if you know this, but I grew up shy, insular. I wore glasses from my entire childhood because I had 3 eye operations. I bet you didn't know that. And it made me incredibly insecure. I thought that if I followed the rules that society laid out for me, I don't know if you felt the same way, but perhaps you did. I thought the earlier part of my life, if I just did well, if I was just a good girl, if I was just a straight A student, if I was just everyone has their version of this story, but you have yours as well. And I followed the path. I got the big house. I married the president of a company. I graduated from university. I got the job at a big company. And I got to tell you, I started having awakened dreams that I was supposed to do something else, and it sounded crazy to me. I didn't realize after saying 2 very magical words that my life would change. And those 2 words, if you're interested, were show me. And I started to be shown. And I had to leave my big corporate job. And I also had to make a big change by leaving my marriage, because I realized that I had dreams. I know this is true for you. I had dreams of what was possible for love between 2 people. And although I love my ex-husband, there was a level of love that one can open to with another human being that I knew was possible, and I was never going to have that with him. So, and now I have that. And so this journey is not for the faint of heart, right? This journey is not necessarily hard. It doesn't have to be, this journey of embodiment, this journey of upgrading your, in fact, it isn't hard at all. And that's why I'm here. It was hard for me, But in learning everything that I learned in the process, I immediately knew that I was born to pay it all forward. So that's what we're doing here together, paying it all forward, understanding the evolution of awakening for humanity, understanding that all of our prayers and askings for this world to be a better place have been answered through a process of embodiment that is not very much like anything you've ever seen before. So for the next 11 minutes, we're going to talk about what that process actually looks like. What it doesn't look like, listen closely. Again, I'm going to ask you today to listen with your cells. That's your sixth sense. To listen with your cells, let your cells take in the information from those photon packages of light that we talked about yesterday. Let your cells take in the information from consciousness, from life itself, from the harmoniousness of nature around you. You are immersed in a homeopathic remedy of harmony. All of the information you need is right there. And your telomeres and your receptor sites on your biological, real, three-dimensional body are built to receive that information. So trying to wrestle the ocean to control it, to be subservient to you, is a booby prize. Can you imagine that? Feel what I'm saying. Have you ever tried to wrestle life to the ground? But you see, we forgot. We forgot that this was never meant to be a wrestling match. It was meant to be a dance with all the consciousness. You take a step, it takes a step. It's exactly the same as surfing the wave in the ocean. Rather than trying, you get exhausted if you try to micromanage life to go the way that you want to, which a lot of people use law of attraction and intention to do that. If life would just change so that I would be acceptable, so that life would be acceptable, so that I could manage my bank account, that is not thriving, that's all surviving. So the intent of today is that you start to understand what it takes, the 3 steps of embodiment, the process. What does it take to actually become a master surfer of the waves? Because the ocean's going to be the ocean. Just like the universe, consciousness, life itself is always moving forward and out. It's always creating upon itself. That's why we can verify that you are creator consciousness. Because all that is, the energy that is, the particles, the atoms, that everything that ever was, forms your body and also forms most of you, which is the metaphysical part of you, the part of you that actually is your spirit, the intention that you were before you got here, the bridges you were born to build, the mastery and genius that you developed over lifetimes. That's most of you. This is just the vessel for all of that beauty. So, what is embodiment? There are 3 parts that we're going to talk about today, and I hope everything is making sense so far. So again, I'm going to say at the end of this video, we are going to give you some homework, very practical, that will help you integrate and open the doorways for you to embody. We're also going to talk about something very special that will allow you to participate in the embodiment process in a very affordable way. Okay, so let's do this. All right. First of all, what is the process of embodiment? The process of embodiment is one that you've lived lifetimes and lifetimes and lifetimes, and every person on the planet, 8 billion people, have wished for a world every lifetime they've had, including yours, wished for more harmony, more love, to be able to create more solutions. It's just part of being alive that there would be contrast or things that didn't work the way we wanted, or things we knew that things could be better. And what happens is there's a yearning inside. It didn't have to be a prayer. It didn't have to be official. It didn't have to be intention or a vision board. You can't help it. You're constantly looking at what is and you're wanting more. Give you an example. Right now I'm looking at my desk and I'm like, oh, I need something that will organize my books and put something underneath this stand that I'm talking to you from, and da-da-da-da, and I promise you, consciousness will show me. I will also let you know that, so for instance, inspiration will come. Someone the other day, several people the other day said, Jennifer, you should really meet Matt Kahn. You guys are peas in a pod. I said, okay. And 2 days ago, what happened is a friend of mine unfortunately got sick, bless her. And we, always light her up and all that kind of stuff. But what happened was she had 2 tickets to Matt Kahn. Guess where? Exactly where I live, in Asheville, North Carolina. So I guess I'm going to meet Matt Kahn. And so what a lovely gift. Now, everything should come. That's what embodiment looks like. It looks like everything comes to you almost instantly, or instantly relative to all of the lifetimes that you've had. A few days is really nothing for consciousness. So you are creator consciousness. You were born to find solutions, and if everything was perfect, there would be no solutions to create. You're a creator. Therefore, there's always going to be contrast. But that contrast creates clarity, and what happens is frustration and resistance to the clarity that you have. Frustration and resistance is a statement to the universe that you don't really know that everything is supposed to come to you. You don't really know that on a subatomic level. You know it like an idea. So when you get frustrated, when you make your life wrong, when you start to see things that don't meet your expectations, and you spend time in resistance or frustration or judgment of yourself or life itself, what you're doing in consciousness is you're taking an action based on the premise that you don't actually subatomically know, which is embodiment. You don't know, it's an intellectual concept, that's learning, but you don't actually know like it's just an is for you, that everything is meant to come to you. So, the process of embodiment, first you have to know what embodiment is. Embodiment is a level of living where first the characteristics are everything comes to you. So you have ideas, you show up for life. When you feel frustrated, you get redirected very quickly to do something else that puts you back in flow. You don't waste time judging consciousness. You find yourself knowing that doing nothing is doing something. So in other words, when you take a nap, or when you relax, or when you go for a walk in the woods, you know that you're in pure receiving mode, and that actually is doing something. You've unplugged from the world that's all about the push. You've transcended the need to push. You are actually relaxed into life, and it feels like life has you in its arms. You have a fundamental understanding that everything is happening for you. There is nothing that happens to you. Everything happens for you. Even difficult things are redirects that give you clarity. The only reason you would be angry or upset, you understand, is because you don't quite understand what's going on yet, and you don't have the clarity. Make sense? So you can go back and listen to that, because that'll give you an idea of what embodiment feels like. So what is the process? Well, the first stage of the process, I'm going to give you another example of embodiment. So for instance, I was recently in San Diego. I'm a co-founder of something called the Evolutionary Business Council. And we had a big convention, and I was planning on going up and visiting my tax accountant, if you can believe that, in San Francisco. And I was tired. And we had a great event. I just want to give you an example so you can see what it looks like. But this is my life all the time, right? And this, I'm not showing off. I really want you guys to understand the level of everything coming to you that can happen. So I had rented a car. I had, from one of our friends, he had a beautiful cottage right on the beach, and he said, why don't you go and test it for us and give us feedback on Airbnb? And I said, okay. And it was 5 minutes away from the hotel. and I got to be on my own, and I loved that. And then what happened was the event finished, and I really felt called that I should go and visit my friend Kristen instead of going to see my accountant. What happened was instead, as I got on the Delta Air flight, the landing gear wouldn't come up into the plane, so they landed in LA, where my friend Kristen lived, and I got a taxi ride for free from Delta Airlines to to LA, where my friend Kristen picked me up. I didn't go to my accountant, and that's what happened. And so I got a lovely meal. I ended up without seeing my accountant, and we just discovered that we have a reason to fly directly to go to San Francisco, so I will end up visiting my tax accountant. So that's the kind of thing that happens. You don't have to rent a car, you just get an airline to fly you there. So what is the process? First is, listen closely, you must upgrade your operating system, okay? Your operating system. I just talked about how people, when they embody new ways of being, when they embody the upgraded intelligence or system or way that we look at life, what happens is your brain rewires to understand, not intellectually, you get it on a multidimensional cellular level, who you are and why you're here so deeply that you cannot go back to struggling. You cannot go back to judging, at least not for long. You cannot go back to wrestling with things because you understand how physics works. The new operating system allows you to, when integrated, it upgrades your brain to be related to life a new way. How we do that is through brain bridges. We build brain bridges, okay? And those brain bridges, if, again, I'm going to refer to beautiful Jill Bolte Taylor and her TED Talk, if you want to go and look it up. And what she said is, when she had this stroke that she had, in the left side, logical side of her brain, her right brain was connected to infinite wisdom. It felt like everything was possible. And that's because that's how your right brain is. There's a bridge between your left and right brain called the corpus callosum. The left brain being very logical, it actually grounds the ideas you have. So everything is possible with the right brain. Finding a way to do it is the left brain. So imagine if you had a bridge that was upgraded, called the corpus callosum upgraded. That upgraded brain bridge would integrate with possibility and how to do it immediately, just like that. So part of upgrading the operating system is getting the deeper understanding of who you are and why you're here from greater consciousness. Understanding it far more deeply in a way that would explain it to your left brain such that you permanently change the way you relate to life. And what happens as a result, and this is an important piece, is your entire biochemistry shifts to align with living a life filled with being in the present moment, looking for what's happening for you around you. Okay? So why get upset about your plane landing in LA when you're just going to go visit your friend and something better is going to show up? It's living in the land of or betters. For me, it is not a woo-woo conversation. Because I see things metaphysically and in the hologram, everything shows up as a scientific multidimensional truth, not a woo-woo concept. So for those of you who are and I love describing the science of it, because it literally is building a more bolstered, a more efficient, I should say, corpus callosum. So the cosmic mind now marries almost immediately with the limited left brain. So That's the first step. You upgrade the operating system, which upgrades the entire biology, which actually changes which part of your genetics is going to play out, by the way. So there's a whole effect on your health that has you transcend your familial and ancestral genetics. The second stage is, now the next two are more easy to explain. So the second one is, you use the new skills. You learn the skills and you exercise the skills of that operating system. As you learn the skills of how to go direct with consciousness, what happens is, as you use those skills, consciousness goes, oh, he or she is really interested in going direct with consciousness. They're no longer interested in struggling with life and making sure that everything is not, stressful or people aren't judging them. They're just interested in going direct. Look at them using the skills of someone who's thriving. And what consciousness starts sending you is more skills and more ease of use of those skills. So it's like the muscle gets really strong, and the more you say yes to those skills, the more consciousness sends you how. Does that make sense? So, because that's how magnetics work. You tell consciousness what you're interested in by how you behave, which is what we talked about yesterday in class 1. So 3 is, okay, so this is going to be a biggie for some of you. How many people, see if this is you, just comment if it's you. Are you someone that likes to control life, or you like things to go a certain way? You get upset by expectations. Maybe you get attached to stuff. You get entangled with dreams you have, and then you really get upset when it doesn't happen on your timing, or when your bank account is supposed to be such and such by this date, and then it's not, and you're like, oh my God, just type in if you've ever done that, or if that's something that sometimes can happen. What happens with human beings is we want to feel comfortable. But you see, the only constant in this world, because we're creators, is that the internet's going to change, software is going to change, how we relate to each other is going to change, how we take care of the environment is going to change, political things are going to change. Everything is upgrading because we're all being called to greater harmony. So one of the, oh my God, I'm going to push a few buttons with this one, but just listen and take this in. What if it isn't a positive, negative? There needs to be sadness to be happiness. What if it's not a polarized world? What if you can have harmony, and the more we all focus on harmony together, the more harmony we get? What if you don't have to have equal and opposite misery just to fly forward in harmony? Just consider that for a moment. That doesn't mean there's not contrast. It's just, remember, we don't have to be catalyzed by pain. We can be inspired forward by ideas. Do you see the difference? What if we turn into a society where we're more inspired by ideas and solutions than we are needing to be catalyzed by pain? So this all leads to that third point, which is expect the unknown, that the unknown becomes embraceable, that the unknown becomes exciting, that in fact you don't need to control life, control the ocean. You need to surf the ocean. You need to become a master dancer with the ocean. And you don't know which way the wave is going to curl. And you don't know how big that wave is going to be. And you don't know what's underneath the ocean. But you've learned so well to be able to ride that surfboard and different kinds of surfboards. You become a master surfer of the wave rather than controller of the ocean. Doesn't that sound like way more fun? So in order to become an embracer of the unknown, this third step, you have to be willing to transmute thousands of old beliefs at a time. Most people are just transmuting one because they're scared, and I understand it completely, having done that for a good probably 10 years of my life. But after having done that, I realized that I got exhausted from analyzing myself, and I thought I would have to spend the rest of my life analyzing myself, and I just looked up and I went, solutions, I'm a creator, show me. And so that's actually how Get Out of Your Own Way was born. Is I don't know how to do this. I don't know if anyone is doing it, but I want to look at the space between the atoms, and I want to understand how do we transmute hundreds of beliefs in an hour rather than, hundreds of beliefs in a lifetime, the beliefs that are limiting us. So you have to be willing to step into the unknown, and actually not just step in, learn the skills to be able to be exhilarated. And at first you've got to be comfortable with being uncomfortable. Does this make sense? All right, you guys. So sometimes there's a bonus class to any of our main classes. So stay tuned and make sure you watch the bonus if there is one. The second thing is there's going to be a link to subscribe to YouTube. And we so greatly appreciate you subscribing to our YouTube page, because not only does it assist us to reach new people, but it also allows you to get the new information. If you've taken Get Out of Your Way, I'd love for you to make a few comments about what it has meant to you. I also, you flowing with your reason that you're on the planet is what this is all about. And again, I'm going to share this with you. And our homework, and then the special that I was talking about earlier. Well, I'll tell you about that now. Up until February the 14th, it's 30% off Get Out of Your Own Way. So if you'd like to go through the experience of embodiment, I so welcome you to do that. It is an extraordinary experience, and it's not anything you expect or anything. It's quite an experience. That's all I can say to you. And it's built on all the principles that we're talking about here. It's actually taking you through it. And what we're doing here is we're opening the portals to it. So up until February 14th, you can come live and in person. If you come live and in person, I actually work with you one-on-one before the program. We actually do a metaphysical holographic reading of you beforehand. And then there's a few other perks while you're there because you're working directly with me. You're the one that I work directly with. If you do it online, don't worry, your questions also get answered, and we work directly with you, just not in the moment, and everyone gets the replay. Also, if you sign up before February 14th, we're doing a free class for everyone who took the 30% off. So we're going to do a free pre-class. It's going to be so exciting. And we'll see you there for everyone who already registered. You can go to thewideawakening.com/going direct, okay, /going direct, or just look up the program on our website, the programs, Play With Us, and you'll see Get Out of Your Own Way. So the whole reason we do all of this is because we know that there is a lot of contrast and polarity in the world right now. I believe the reason why this technology was given through me is, first of all, because I was so powerfully asking, because I'm so sensitive when things are incongruent, much like lots of you. I was so sensitive to the incongruencies of life that I couldn't stand it, and I just fell to my knees and I said, I give up. And I said, you better show me a solution. And so, 12 years ago, 10 years ago when it came through, it has evolved so much since then for people who've done Get Out of Your Own Way before. Oh my God, it doesn't look anything like that. But the funny thing is that I knew that I was born for something else. Did you know that you were born for, can't you feel inside like this sense of urgency, or this sense of like, my life is more? Like there is a full potential I'm meant to live, and I'm not quite in it, and I'm not sure how to get there. And I want to share with you that there is a way to get there, but you can't get there in the old operating system, because the old operating system is based on survival in a world that has limited resources, and we weren't born to be limited. And I've experienced that myself. Witness Delta Airlines flying me to LA for free to visit my friend. So it's just funny. Stuff like that happens all the time. It's just crazy. So You know, we are the heaven on earth construction crew. We are it. You are it. I am it. And we're side by side in this journey. And each of us gets to, as each of us expresses our genius into the world, as we become the genius that we are, and how we become that is by going direct with consciousness. Because consciousness considers every grain of sand, every tree, every blade of grass, every human being that ever lived. So of course, when you are able to access that degree of wisdom, it feels like you're living in some kind of really cool genius flow. And it's fun. It's fun. And you deserve it to be fun. And I deserve it to be fun. And we all deserve to co-create together. So that's building the bridges to, that's what it means to build the bridges to a new humanity. So this is my piece of the puzzle to assist you. So again, tomorrow, for the next class is juicy, and I'm going to give you some homework. The next class is all about transmuting hundreds of limitations at a time and how you do that. Come on, tell me that isn't cool. So I'm going to show you the technology, like how it works and how we do it. So it's like a back end view of how to transmute hundreds of limitations at a time, right? So cool, yes. So, and so the homework, okay? The homework, your homework, should you choose to go on the mission, is to really understand your operating system. Go and listen to the bonus class again and feel whether you're in survival or thriving operating system. Give it a percentage. Look and see what percentage. So this is bonus class 1B. You know, it's right after we did class 1. Go and look at the percentage, okay, that you actually live in thriving versus surviving. That is your homework. You want to get a little reality check on that. Really tell yourself the truth. Don't beat yourself up. Again, yesterday's homework was watching yourself. Watching doesn't include judging. There's no judging and watching. So you get to watch your response to your honest answer. And whether you judge it as good or bad, it's irrelevant for consciousness. Just become more aware of where you're living and how you're operating with life, because it can change permanently as we talk today. All right, you guys, the other thing I want you to measure is how good are you really in relationships, in love, about money, when something is completely seeming outside of your control. When you don't know the answer, do you freak out? Give it kind of like, what's your, you know, to what degree are you okay with that? Give it like a percentage. What degree am I okay with, you know, with actually dancing with all of that? Be honest, okay? Be honest with yourself and post some of those percentages in the comments, okay? I'd love to hear about those and any questions you have about those. And what would it look like if you were 100% okay with the unknown? What would it look like if you just could get the answers, and it didn't matter if the answers were a week away or an hour away. You just didn't freak out. You just knew that it was coming. And so you get answers more frequent. What would it be like if your life was like that? Just consider it, right? All right. What would change? All right, you guys. I love you very much. Thank you so much for being here. And I hope you guys are getting benefit. I'd love to hear all about the benefit or the ahas or the shifts in thinking or the whatever, the things that are opening up for you. Make comments, pass it on to friends. Can't wait to see you next time in class number 3, all about the technology to transmute hundreds of limitations at a time. Woohoo! See you there.